Billy Walters is a name synonymous with sports betting. One of the greatest sports bettors of all time recently was a guest on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's going to go over some things that are going to help you become a sharper, smarter bettor. And I'm going to go into detail about the things Billy said on the Joe Rogan podcast that can help you become a better handicapper, a better sports bettor, and how you can use the tools at the Sharp app to achieve that goal. Let's take a look at Billy in the first clip.
The numbers, like what is the biggest bet you ever placed?
I bet $4.5 million on New Orleans to beat the Indianapolis Colts in the Super Bowl. That's the biggest bet I ever placed.
Did you win?
I did. I won it. I got lucky and I won it.
In the clip, Billy talks about the largest bet he ever made being $4.5 million on the Super Bowl between the Saints and the Colts. And he starts to get into how he figures out how much he's going to determine to bet on any given game. Billy obviously has a model that he follows, and that model lets him know where he thinks, or where the model thinks, the line should be on any given game. Here at the Sharp app, we've got similar type of models where you can see just where the market is in comparison to what our model thinks the line should be. Let's let Billy talk a little bit more about unit sizing, and then we'll get into just what a unit is. Bankroll management will show you a little bit of the Sharp app and how it can help you with this.
And the reason I had such a big bet is what I do, Joe, is I make a line on a game myself. My prediction of what I feel like the differential should be.
Independent of what the experts
Completely
say.
independent. I don't even look at their line when I make my line.
Really?
No.
That's high level shit.
Well, that's all. I'm doing the same thing they're doing.
Right.
So Billy talks about making a line on the game and then comparing it to where the market is at. Now, you should be doing this in your own personal handicapping, even if you're not building a model. Always take a look at the games, don't look at the lines, and then put a line on the game yourself. Now, if you're building a model, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to build your model and then see where the line should be. But when we open up the Sharp app, you can see that our AI prediction model likes the Golden State game at -2.5. Therefore, when we look at the line on the market, it's +5 for New York, meaning we're getting 2.5 points better with the Knicks on this game than the model thinks we should be. Therefore, there's a 2.5 point advantage. Now, if you listen to Billy, he's looking at taking about 1.5 or 2 points. Anything better than that, he's going to make a bet. Let's say our threshold was 2 points. So once we get to that 2 point threshold, we're going to make a 1 unit bet. We'll talk about how you get your unit sizing, but let's say you're a $100 bettor. That would be your unit size. At the 2 point threshold, once we get to 2 points, we're going to go ahead and bet $100. Now, let's say since we have another half point advantage, because we have a 2.5 point advantage, we want to increase our bet by another half a unit. This is going to be totally determined by you and just how aggressive you want to be. But let's say every half point above our threshold of 2, we add a half a unit. Therefore, this bet would be $150 on the Knicks because we have a 2.5 point edge.
The larger the differential between the number they make and my opinion, the larger bet I make. There has to be a minimum of a certain amount of separation or I won't make a bet. But the larger the difference is between my opinion and their opinion, the larger bet I make. So I'll just give you a rough example. Let's say the NFL. And let's say I would have to have a minimum of, say, 1.5 differential from the line they make from the line I make. 1.5, 2 points. Well, I would bet 1 unit, okay? That would be the smallest bet I would make. But for each half point, so if I made the line on a game 6 and they had it 8, I would bet 1 unit. If they made it 8.5, I would bet 2 units. If they made it 9, I would bet 3 units. If they made it 9.5, I would bet 4 units. If they made it 10, I would bet 5 units.
Okay, we've talked a lot about unit size and just how do you determine what your unit size should be. First, you need to determine your bankroll size, and this is an amount of money you've put aside strictly for sports betting and should be money that you do not need to touch for your everyday life. Once you have that number, 1 to 2% of that number is what we suggest should be your unit size. This gives you enough of a runway in order to go through those tough stretches and still maintain a bankroll size that you can make bets with. Now, the next thing you need to determine is, are you going to risk a unit or are you going to try and win 1 unit? My suggestion is you should be playing to win 1 unit. The reason you do this is because we're going to be making some bets on some really big favorites and some really big underdogs. And what we want to do is balance things out. So when we have a bet on a large favorite, it's more likely to win as opposed to betting on a very large underdog. But in either case, we're looking for an edge, an advantage. Like Billy said, if our model thinks the probability of this winning is greater than what the market thinks, we're going to go ahead and place a bet on that game or that event. So let's say we're making a bet on something that the market thinks should be a plus 400 bet. So the market thinks plus 400 is the bet. Therefore, 20% of the time, this bet is going to win according to the market. But you run your model, or you've looked at the Sharp Apps model, and this bet should win 25% of the time. That means there's a 5% edge there to you, the bettor. Now, that 25% translates to a plus 300 line. You're getting that 5% edge. Either way, it is unlikely that you're going to win that bet. Now, over time, you should gain a 5% edge, but we don't want to risk too much on bets like this because we can lose a lot of them in a row and really eat away at our bankroll. So what we do is we will risk an amount that's good enough to win one unit. So if I am making a bet on a plus 400 bet, I will bet $25 if I'm a $100 bettor, or a 1 unit bet, I'll bet a quarter of that unit. So a quarter unit bet to win 1 unit. Now, if the reverse were true and I was betting on a minus 400 favorite, I'd be betting 4 units in order to win 1 unit because the likelihood of this bet coming in and winning is higher. I'm okay with risking 4 units because I'm not going to lose as many of these bets in a row and jeopardize my bankroll, especially if I have an edge based on my models. Hopefully you learned something from Billy Walters and me, Statsational, with the Sharp app. Learning how to bet, unit sizing, bankroll management, learning to bet to win a unit is going to help you tremendously with your sports betting. We've got a lot more over at the Sharp app. Check out our Discord. I've got a link down below. You can download the Sharp app and then sync directly over to our Discord. We've got a free version as well as the VIP version for our pro subscribers. Check it out. Find me, Statsational, in the Discord. Ask any questions you may have on these videos, or, of course, leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you want to learn more about sports betting, we've got a whole series called the Sharp Academy that's going to help you become a more profitable sports bettor. We're going to be updating that Sharp Academy with some new videos in the next few weeks, so be on the lookout for that. Subscribe and get the notification bell so that you'll see whenever we post a new video. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.